Everything was on schedule. A trusted captain, a fully boarded international flight. Then a security dog refused to let him step onto the jet. What they found hidden underneath changed everything and sent the airport into chaos. Here's the full story. But before you watch, comment your favorite dog's name and make sure you've subscribed to the channel, because what's coming next, I promise, you do not want to miss. The early morning calm at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport was a delicate illusion, an orchestra of coordinated footsteps, rolling luggage, distant intercoms, and the rhythmic sweep of cleaning crews prepping the gates for another day of departures. Outside, rain slid silently down the windows of Terminal D, the sky a heavy slate that hadn't seen sunshine in over a week. Among the security detail navigating the maze of concourses, Officer Ramon Silva walked with purposeful calm. His uniform was soaked from the waist down, his coffee had gone cold long ago. At his side was Rex. The German Shepherd was only 4 years into service, but had already developed a record that made him hard to ignore. Narcotics, illegal weapons, even a flagged smuggler posing as airline staff. Rex had sniffed out threats others never even noticed. It was in his unnerving precision. He didn't bark for show, he didn't chase shadows. He simply stopped and waited when something was wrong. This morning, the two of them had been assigned to perform a routine sweep of outbound international gates. Flight 722 to Buenos Aires was boarding from Gate D-19. A large Boeing 787 Dreamliner was parked at the jet bridge, and flight attendants filtered in and out of the prep area, ticking off checklists and securing catering compartments. Nothing was out of place until the captain showed up. He wore a blue and silver airline uniform that matched the crew roster. Name badge, Captain Mark Brenner. Age mid-50s. Graying temples. Confident gait. He walked with the weight of years behind the cockpit, familiar and composed. As he approached the terminal checkpoint, a few TSA staff gave polite nods. One gate supervisor even offered a quick, "Morning, Captain." No one questioned him, but Rex stopped dead. His body froze mid-step, ears up, legs locked, and then he moved, not forward but sideways. Deliberately stepping into the pilot's path, Captain Brenner slowed. He glanced down at the dog, then looked up at Officer Silva with a practiced half-smile, the kind that said, "I know the drill." But Rex didn't budge. His eyes locked onto the man. No growling, no barking, just stillness like a wire pulled tight. Silva had seen this before, only once. A year ago, when a pilot at Denver International had tried to board with falsified credentials and an encrypted thumb drive sewn into his jacket lining, Rex hadn't lunged then either. He'd simply refused to move. The silence drew attention. A few passengers looked over. One of the boarding attendants paused mid-sentence, confused. "Sir, I need you to step aside," Silva said, calm but firm. Captain Brenner hesitated. "Why?" he asked. "Routine inspection," Silva replied, masking the sudden weight in his chest. The pilot smiled tightly. "I'm late for pre-flight checks." Silva didn't answer. He reached for his radio. Within 10 minutes, a private security room had been cleared near Gate D-24. Brenner was escorted inside without handcuffs, but Rex remained outside the door, stationed like a sentinel, eyes unblinking. Inside the room, another officer began the inspection. The man's ID, flight license, and crew credentials were all in order. All scans cleared. His uniform was spotless. He remained composed. But something was off. The pilot's bag, small and worn, held the usual's grooming kit, a rolled-up crew schedule, an extra tie, and an emergency charger. It was light, almost too light for a long-haul pilot. Silva noted it. More importantly, he noted how the man barely reacted when they requested to test his uniform for residue and trace material. He expected this, and Silva's gut told him that was exactly the problem. Just before they concluded the check, A call came through from the downstairs baggage crew. Something strange had happened. A cargo technician had opened a sealed shipping crate bound for the same Buenos Aires flight, a crate logged as galley supplies from a catering partner in Tacoma, standard procedure. But the crate felt unusually heavy for its contents. When opened, it revealed prepackaged food trays stacked in symmetrical rows and a second layer beneath the foam panels. Cables, wiring, a power relay. Not a bomb, but something that made the technician pale. The crate was sealed and quarantined within minutes. A call went up the chain. Soon it reached Silva's earpiece. His blood went cold. He asked to re-inspect the pilot's jacket, specifically the lining beneath the left breast pocket. It was stiff, slightly thicker than standard issue. Inside the hem, stitched into a fold, was a wafer-thin transmitter board, folded, pressed, disguised. Rex had been right, again. By now, the co-pilot had been informed of the delay and placed under temporary hold. Passengers remained in the boarding area, largely unaware of the slow shift happening beneath their feet. And the man claiming to be Captain Mark Brenner, he finally cracked. Not violently, he simply slumped. In the minutes that followed, officers determined he wasn't Brenner at all. The real pilot had suffered a minor back injury and was recovering at home in Oakland. The imposter had stolen his identity using sophisticated forgeries and had passed 2 digital screenings. But Rex had sensed the deception from the moment he walked in. The small transmitter retrieved from the uniform was cross-referenced with a device found in the galley crate. They were paired. If activated, the crate's electronics could have sent wireless signals into the aircraft systems mid-flight, targeting everything from navigational tools to autopilot settings. Not enough to crash the plane, but enough to force a manual override at cruising altitude. In the wrong hands at the wrong moment, it would have spelled catastrophe. Passengers would have heard nothing. Pilots might not have known until it was too late. The kind of sabotage that didn't leave a trail because it didn't leave survivors. Rex remained seated through the entire debrief, his breathing steady. Officers reviewed security footage, tracing the imposter's path through the airport. He had used staff-only access, bypassed 2 intermediate checks, and had never raised a red flag, except one, a dog. The crate had been moved to a secure hangar on the far side of the airport. What looked like an ordinary shipment of airline catering trays had now become the centerpiece of a federal investigation. A bomb squad, electronic specialists, and cybercrime experts converged under floodlights, combing through every inch of the padded container. All traffic around the hangar was suspended. Inside the crate, the wiring was no accident. It wasn't just slapped together. The design was modular, smart, and tailored for concealment. They found fiber optics, carbon film resistors, a customized relay circuit tied to what appeared to be an off-market navigation bypass tool, modified, encrypted, and low emission. This wasn't built to explode, it was built to manipulate. The kind of device that could sit undetected for months until triggered by a signal. And if activated mid-flight, it could reroute essential commands, shift the plane off course, confuse readings, or worse, silence alerts altogether. Back at the airport terminal, Officer Silva reviewed the footage again. The imposter, now confirmed to be a South American national with prior ties to a defunct shipping contractor, had entered the staff corridor at 4:28 a.m. His badge scanned without error. Facial recognition only failed after the fact, during post-check analysis. The disguise had been surgical and practiced. Rex paced slowly in front of the wall monitors, pausing only when Silva stopped at frame 132. A second man, almost missed, wearing a ground crew uniform, he moved 2 paces behind the imposter. No interaction, no conversation. But his clipboard matched the delivery manifest of the suspect crate. Silva froze. They had only caught one piece of a much larger plan, and then the phone rang. The operations director on the line sounded rattled. "You need to see something in the underground service tunnel by the North Tram Station, now." The underground service network beneath Sea-Tac was a snaking grid of cables, storage chambers, utility junctions, and machinery. It was vital, grimy, and largely ignored. The entrance to the tram station's tunnel was guarded by 2 officers. Beyond it lay an industrial corridor where third-party vendors often ran maintenance lines. This wasn't public-facing infrastructure. It was supposed to be dead space, but someone had recently been inside. Silva and Rex arrived as forensic units illuminated the passage with portable lights. Moisture pooled along the concrete floor. Dust patterns were disrupted, indicating movement. Near the far wall, a hatch had been pried open. Inside it, bundled in waterproof casing, was another relay device, almost identical to the one hidden in the food crate. Only this one was connected to a dormant access point in the airport's internal wireless mesh network. This wasn't about Flight 722. It was about the airport. Multiple flights, multiple touch points, hidden transmitters, each programmed to activate under a synced protocol. The implications were devastating. Silva turned to Rex, who was already sniffing the air. The dog stopped near the edge of the tunnel wall and pointed his snout upward toward a vent. Silva called it in. Another team was dispatched. What they found behind the vent made every spine in the room stiffen. A cache of disguises, ID cards, maintenance badges, and a printed floor map of 5 terminals. Each one marked, each one scheduled, with times. It was a coordinated infiltration, phase-based, quiet, and nearly invisible to humans, but not to Rex. Later that day, an FBI agent stood quietly in the observation room reviewing the case file. The sabotage plot had been deeper than anyone realized. The imposter pilot had only been the tip. There were more people involved, more devices in play. But the pattern that connected them all? It started with a dog refusing to move. And in that moment, something rare and quiet stirred among the agents. Respect, not just for the investigation, not just for the intelligence work, but for the living creature whose instincts outpaced machines, protocols, and algorithms, the living bridge between danger and safety, Rex. Still watching, still waiting. The storm moved in just before midnight. Sheets of cold rain lashed across the airport's roof as wind rattled the steel bones of Sea-Tac. Inside, though, the tension was thicker than the weather, not because of delays or rerouted flights, but because now every officer knew something was still out there. The cache in the tunnel had confirmed the worst. The sabotage wasn't a one-off. It was a network, a living thing with roots threading deep into the system. Rex lay curled beneath Silva's desk, his ears twitching in his sleep. But even resting, he seemed alert, always aware. By 2 a.m., every department had been mobilized. Sweeps were ordered across all 5 terminals, not just the public spaces, the secure maintenance zones, electrical hubs, emergency stairwells, elevator shafts, areas that weren't on anyone's standard patrol, areas only someone with a blueprint could exploit. And someone had. Silva was assigned to lead Sweep Delta, Terminal B auxiliary systems. A utility shaft near Gate B5 had been flagged by a maintenance crew after they found the sensor light tripped with no logged entry. Minor. And now nothing was minor. Rex walked ahead, his nails clicking softly against the concrete floor as they descended into another layer of the airport. The corridor was narrower than most. The walls lined with breaker boxes and dusty fire suppression canisters. At the far end was a locked access room used to store outdated electrical converters, abandoned but still monitored. Rex stiffened at the door. No bark, just the stillness again. Silva paused, signaled the tech behind him. The lock disengaged with a hard click. Inside, shadows waited. The room smelled faintly of warm plastic. On the back wall, another crate. This one smaller, plain, but unmistakably out of place, and it was active. Rex didn't move. His tail lowered, body tense. A bomb tech moved in with a portable scanner. The readout pulsed once, twice, then confirmed. A live signal relay. This one wasn't just transmitting, it was receiving. Nearby, in the bottom drawer of a rusted tool cabinet, officers found something else. A cell phone, stripped of all markings, SIM card embedded in the circuit board. A signal was still active, barely. But enough, they backtracked through flight logs. The drawer had been opened 11 hours earlier, minutes after the imposter pilot had been stopped. Someone had tried to trigger the system remotely. Had the flight not been delayed, the relay would have gone live. Multiple devices, across multiple terminals, all linked. The command center was quiet as Silva handed in his report. The airport director stood at the back watching footage on a silent screen. Rex, walking ahead through the underbelly of the airport, a lone dog leading the search. In the days that followed, 3 more devices were uncovered, one in a ceiling tile in Terminal C, one behind a janitorial locker in a parking structure, another, worryingly, in a restroom hand dryer rigged to disguise heat emissions. Each had different wiring, but the same circuitry, designed to be missed by machines, but not by Rex. And on the 7th day, as Seattle's skies finally cleared and the chaos began to settle, a ceremony was held behind closed doors. No reporters, no flashing cameras, just a quiet gathering of agents, officers, technicians, and a dog. Rex didn't wear medals, but his harness was cleaned and polished, and the badge on his side gleamed under the terminal lights. Silva stood beside him, accepting nothing except a nod from his commanding officer and the knowledge that they had prevented something devastating. After the room emptied, Silva crouched next to Rex. "Good work, partner." Rex wagged his tail once. Later, as they walked back toward the main concourse, the airport seemed to breathe again. No one knew how close they had come, how silent the threat had been, or that their safety had rested in the instincts of a single animal who had simply refused to let a man pass. Passengers streamed through the gates. Kids clutched teddy bears. Businessmen scrolled through emails. And Rex? He paused, looked up at the morning light pouring through the windows, then turned his head slightly, ears perked, ever watching, ever ready. For more stories where dogs save the day in ways no one saw coming, subscribe now and drop your favorite dog's name in the comments below. Because the next hero might be just like Rex.